so excited to be here. This is a huge responsibility, and we don't take it lightly. But my favorite part of the rally and seminar like this is the story. I love hearing people's stories, and I could sit there and listen to every one of your stories, and it didn't matter how long it took. I would love to hear every one of your stories, but I don't really like telling mine. So some of you relate to that, but anyway, it's my turn, so that's what leadership's about. You take your turn and you tell your story when it's your time. When we started dating in high school, and then he went to college and moved off, and then I went to a different college, and so anyway, we spent about 5.5 years before we got married dating, and during that time, we were only 1 year we were together in college and 1 year in high school, and so the rest of the time we were long distance dating. So we were traveling back and forth to see each other, and I guess there's a reason for everything, and that got us ready to spend some time on the road building this business, and we have just had a blast. But anyway, we have 3 children, and we are almost empty nesters. That's kind of where we're at right now. But back when we saw the business, we had gotten out of college, and Scott had taken a job with Conoco in Ponca City, Oklahoma. And I grew up with my mom using Amway products. There was about 3 products that she really, really liked. And so I thought, well, now I'm married, I have a home, I should use the products that my mother used because they were obviously the best. And so I sought out an Amway distributor in Ponca City, and I called her and I said, I want to use some products. And so she got in her car and drove the products to my house, and I bought products from her. She never did show us the plan. But one of the guys I worked with, I worked in the hospital there, and I worked intensive care for about 2 years, and then worked third shift, and then switched to the operating room. And so I was working in the operating room with there was a nurse anesthetist that I worked with, and he was building the business. And I remember one day he came into work, and during a procedure, there's conversation that goes on when you're having surgery, but he said, there's something I wanted to talk to you about later. How would you like to go to Hawaii? And I said, oh, that'd be great. So he goes, well, we'll talk about that later. And so anyway, after the procedure was over, and we were out in the hallway or whatever, he said, how about we get together, I'll bring my wife, you bring your husband, we'll get together and at Pizza Hut, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I said, that'd be awesome. So anyway, we did meet him at Pizza Hut, and Scott wasn't real excited about me having set up this meeting, but I thought, if I can go to Hawaii, I've never been there, and I'd like to go to Hawaii. So let's go see what this is about. Well, sometimes you show people the plan, and they're just not in the frame of mind where they're looking. And I was looking, but Scott wasn't looking. So really all he remembers is the circles, the pepperoni on the pizza. That's the only circles he remembers. And I'm not a huge numbers person, so I don't really remember the circles except on the pizza either. And so anyway, they sent some CDs home with us, and I listened to some of them, and Scott didn't anyway. He wasn't in the frame of mind, and I guess I really wasn't either. So we said, no, we're not interested. And so the interesting thing was, a year later, our sponsor came back to us and actually called from a function. He left a dream night in Colorado and stopped at a payphone, because this was before cell phones. Most people used payphones at that time. There were a few bag phones. You remember the old huge bag phones, and they were so big you carried them in your trunk for some reason. I don't think it was because of their size. I think it was, I don't know. We carried ours in our trunk when we got one. But anyway, he called from a payphone, and he said, this was a year later, and he said, hey, we just learned some new information and thought you might be interested on an update from what we showed you a year ago or whatever. And I said, that'd be great. I'd love to see you. I hadn't seen him for a year because he moved to a different hospital after that and worked somewhere else. And I said, that'd be great. We'd love to see you guys. And so anyway, he came by, and it was, the timing was totally different, and we were open to looking, because we were looking at some other things that we wanted to do to diversify, and so the timing was perfect. And he came by and showed us the plan, and we got started building our business right away. The interesting thing was at that time, we plugged into some functions there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the lady that had sold the products to me, remember I said I wanted to use the products that my mother used? The lady that had sold the products to me, we went across stage in a room similar to this size, and she was in the audience, and of course, I hadn't seen her, but she saw us go across stage for, I don't remember what it was, but some kind of first level kind of pin or something. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've been selling you products and I didn't show you the plan. I mean, kicked herself a little bit. But anyway, that just goes to show if you're selling products to someone, they might be open to looking at diversifying their income and building a business. And, we were very busy, and you know what? Busy people get things done. So never be intimidated by people who are really, really busy. But anyway, we started building our business, and within, a couple of years, about a year and a half, we went Pearl, which was a pin back then, but there's not a Pearl pin anymore. But anyway, we had qualified for a promotion, and we decided that it might be time for Scott to maybe look at not working at Conoco anymore, because we were wanting to build the business full time. And so anyway, he went in to have some checkup done before he quit working, and found out that he had cancer. And so we had a little bump in the road there. We didn't actually get to go on our promotional trip that we had qualified for because he was in the hospital having surgery. And then after that, we found out that we were going to have our first baby. And so it was kind of a, life is a roller coaster, and, sometimes you feel like you're down and the trap's on your neck, and then you gotta find the strength in you to move on. And so we did, and qualified Emerald then about 6 months later. And then qualified Diamond a year after that. And so anyway, that was a really, really rough time. There was also a time when we were building the business really, showing the plan several times a week, and really, putting a lot of effort into the business. And I hurt my back, and I had to be on bed rest for about 4 weeks. And I'm trying to remember how exactly, but anyway, there was a function in Florida. It was a Yager function in Florida that we needed to go to, and we loaded up in the car and on bed rest, and off we went to Florida, laying in the back of the car. So my point in telling you that is sometimes there's going to be obstacles that come up, and you go, it seems like it's just not meant to be that I go to this function. And sometimes it's a matter of seeing just how badly you want the business, And so there were lots of times when it would have been easier to say, let's not do this. This is just too big a mountain to climb. And we found out that every time that came up and we went ahead and we climbed that mountain, the reward was so sweet. Things just happened, and things just fell into place. And so, you're going to have times when things aren't going well in your business or in your life, and that's the time when you need to just keep plugging. The way I grew up was, and I think this is so important, was my parents were farmers, and so I grew up on the farm. And one of the things that I feel so blessed, and now that my kids are grown, I am so thankful for this business, because I learned how to work when I was growing up. And we made sure that we taught our kids how to work. They would consider it at times abuse, but because they picked up rocks when their feet hurt and they didn't feel like picking up rocks, or they did this or that. But I think that is so important, that we teach our kids how to work, and that they develop a work ethic, and that they have faith and they have a work ethic. And I just think that's so important in raising a family, and that's important in maintaining our country too, because we need people growing up in America that know how to work and that will continue to work. We don't need people that are growing up not knowing how to work. So I'm so thankful that a lot of people shared that with us along the way, and I'm so thankful that we did that. And we have 3 kids that know how to work, and they're all 3 really. We're really proud of the fact they know how to work, and so I think that's just really, really important. But the neat thing about this business is the rewards. I can't even tell you all of the rewards that we've gotten from this business. I have written down a few of the places that we've been over the years, and I just have to pinch myself and go, wow, really? Did I do that? Are you kidding? I can't believe We've been to Europe numerous times. We've been to Australia numerous times. We've been to Hawaii numerous times. We decided one of our dreams was that we wanted to buy a motor coach and travel the U.S. with our kids, and we wanted our kids to experience all 50 states. And so we started homeschooling our kids. Homeschooled them for 8 years and traveled in a motor coach all over the U.S. and several states, of course, numerous times, and visited historic monuments throughout the U.S. and made incredible memories. But most of all, our kids got to see history. They got to see Gettysburg. They got to see Washington, D.C. They got to see the Grand Canyon, all these places that we studied when we were kids. We studied out of a book. And that was one of our dreams, was to be able to do that. And that's one of the things that we've been able to accomplish. So, whatever your dream is, this business can get it for you. And, don't ever stop dreaming. We have things that we're shooting for now, and dreams that, that we're going for. And hopefully, on our deathbeds, we'll still be shooting for those dreams. You can never be too old to dream. I met a guy not too long ago. His name was Harry. When I met him, he said, "Terri, I have something I want to show you." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, it's out in the parking lot." So I said, "Okay." So we had a conversation. But anyway, we walk out in the parking lot, and there is the Dodge Charger with the Hemi. Is that right? It goes really fast or something. And yeah. And on the front of the license plate, the part I forgot to share with you, it says M, 1917. So his name was Harry. His last name started with M, and he was born in 1917. Now, that would have made him, that was a couple years ago, that would have made him like 92 or 3. And he's driving this brand new Dodge Charger with this hot engine in it. And I said, wow, Harry, that is the coolest car I have ever seen. I said, wow, I mean, do you really, honestly, you drive this a lot? And he goes, yeah, I go to Dallas. I have a son in Dallas, and I go to Dallas and see him, which is 7, 8 hours from Springfield. And he said, I have a daughter in St. Louis, which is 4 hours. He said, there isn't anything on the road that I can't pass. And he said, and I do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I mean, to be 93 years old and driving a Dodge Charger, I mean, with a really hot engine. I mean, why not? You know, I was talking to a guy about 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me about his mother. His mother, when she turned 90, she had not ever had a convertible. And at the age of 90, she bought a red, like a Corvette convertible. I don't remember exactly what kind of car it was, but it was some kind of hot car that was a convertible. And she drove, you know, for years. She's like 100 now, but she drove that car for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, you know, with the top down. I'm like, I so want to be like that when I'm 95. I want to have a convertible, and I want to drive it all over town, and I want to drive really fast on the interstates. That just sounds like fun, doesn't it? So, you know, we never, ever should stop dreaming. And I just love those kind of stories, because that's inspiring to me. That's like, you know, it makes you stop and think, hey, I've got a lot ahead of me. If I'll just continue to dream and keep pursuing my dreams. So anyway, I am going to bring Scott up, and he has some great rest of the story for you, I'm sure.
I tell you, we took their mom and dad. Of course, they were lifetime farmers. Took their mom and dad. One of the things we wanted to do is take their mom to the city. They didn't want to go, but we wanted to take them. So of course, I'm